Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. And let's go through the risk disclaimer first. Trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so the goal of the webinar is to introduce you to Bookmap, define what it is, who uses it, how to connect it, how to get it, and then we'll look at the basic user interface, the components on the Bookmap chart, go over the advantages that it gives you, and start to just analyze the basic order flow at the same time so that you can see the advantages in the live market. Okay, now there is another webinar that follows this one at 11 a.m. Eastern and goes for about an hour. And that's the advanced order flow webinar. Okay, now that one's for subscribers, and the whole concept here is that Bookmap comes with education. There's an educational course that you get. It's 4 parts, an hour long each part. Starts with it starts with basic market mechanics and gets into more and more advanced concepts in order flow. Okay, now that course is always available for you. But then the advanced order flow webinars, you can see the live market and we analyze that live market in the same context as the education. So you can see it in the live market and we start to anticipate where price is going to go in the live market based on our education, okay, and what Bookmap is telling us. So very objectively going through and analyzing what Bookmap is telling us, and then starting to look for price movement in specific directions. All right, let's jump into the website here and start to define Bookmap. Okay, scroll down a little bit. Okay, and so what is Bookmap? Okay, we are a software trading platform, just like any other platform that's out there. Right, we just have a unique way of visualizing the data, and that is the advantage. Okay, who uses Bookmap? Day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. Okay, you can use the order book and depth of market on much higher time frames for those of you who are swing traders, and we go through that every day basically in the advanced webinars. Okay, get an edge in the markets. You can read some of this here as you like, but we're going to define more of it as we go through in the webinar. And connectivity, so this is important. Bookmap connects to 3 different types of markets: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Now the data for digital currencies is free, but for US equities and futures, you will need to provide it. That's because we're software, we're not a broker, we're not a data provider. Okay, now for US equities, you'll use DX feed here. That's the only way to connect US equities for right now. Okay, DX feed, there's a few different packages that are available, and you can ask me if you have any questions regarding that. Now for futures, there are many different ways of connecting. Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro. Okay, Cedro is for Brazilian markets. Now you can see there's also some platforms listed here. Okay, like Interactive Brokers, Traders Workstation, NinjaTrader, and TT Xtrader Pro. You can connect Bookmap via the API of these 3 different platforms. However, we're a platform just like they are, and it is better to connect directly to the data provider like Rhythmic and CQG. Okay, you're just going to get better data and instead of bypassing going through a third party. All right, a bit further down, let's go over the different packages, okay, and the subscription here. So you can subscribe yearly or you can subscribe monthly. And you can see there's a few different packages that are available. There's 2 different versions here for digital, and there's 2 different versions for global. Now, the digital versions are only for the digital currencies. Global versions are for all 3 market types that we connect to. So you can see that the digital version is free here. The data is free as well, so you can download Bookmap right now and get up and running and look at a digital currency in Bookmap in the live market. All right, and that's the idea. So you can always see a live market. Now, if you're an equities trader, you also get a US equities delayed data feed. So you can check out equities as well. Now, if you're a futures trader, it also allows for you to replay data files, downloaded data files, or it comes with, it downloads with Bookmap when you subscribe to the free version. Okay, so you can replay that data file, and it's historical though. So, you know, I don't know, a lot of people have mentioned, well, it doesn't really help me because it's not the live market. It gives you insight to what Bookmap is showing. If you want to connect to the live market for futures and US equities data, then I would recommend going with the global version. Okay, just try it for a month. See if it's something that works for you and gives you an edge. Okay, so that's the free version. The Digital Plus version here has all the same functionality, but in addition, you have the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into a GDAX exchange or BitMEX exchange. You can record and replay your data. And you get multiple instruments. Okay, with the free version, you only get one instrument. That's it. Okay, you also get full support and the advanced education that I was talking about, and you do not get that with the free version. Okay, so let's make a jump over to the global version. Okay, what's the difference here? Well, global includes everything in Digital Plus, but you also have the ability to connect to futures and US equities, and that's the difference. All right, now the Global Plus version, it's all inclusive of global, but in addition, you get our add-on indicators. Okay, one is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart with the one-click trading. It's a great advantage because you have the heat map in front of you. So front run high liquidity, hide your stops behind high liquidity. And then our proprietary indicators that we put together. Okay, like our large lot tracker, our indicators are looking at very specific order flow phenomena. So large lot tracker is looking at the larger players that are holding the majority of the liquidity in the book. Okay, we see it all the time, and they affect price. Large orders, and they can bully the book basically. And then we have some imbalance indicators for both book and volume. We have an iceberg detector, again, looking for larger players in the market, but they don't want to show their liquidity, okay? They want to get filled without it being known how big their position is, right? But we have an algo that can start to detect when an iceberg is being hit. Okay? And we also have a correlation tracker adding different markets on the Bookmap chart, which is a fantastic one. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions on the subscriptions and the pricing. We can jump over here to just a bit further down. You might want to read more about Bookmap here with some of the blog entries, okay? And then there's some social media areas as well. Our Twitter page at bookmap_pro, okay? All sorts of information here. And then jump over to our YouTube channel. Okay, and if you're new, then I would recommend watching these Bookmap intro videos here in the playlist, then features and components, and then the order flow video snippets. I think you'll find these very interesting. This is really where Bookmap offers you the advantage. Okay, so here you're getting insight to what Bookmap is visualizing and how to use it. Okay, very short videos here, but very informational that go through the order flow phenomena that Bookmap uncovers. Okay, so I'd recommend watching these here. I think you'll get something out of that. All right, let's jump into Bookmap and take a look at the interface here. Okay, and let me close up my one-click trading here. Okay, and let me know if there's something in particular you guys want to look at. Else, we're going to look at the NASDAQ E-mini. And what do we see here today? Okay. All right. Well, for those of you who are new looking at this chart, you may start to think, well, there's a lot of information here, and it's a little overwhelming. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of information here. It's actually pretty straightforward and pretty simple, though. And hold on just a minute here. It's just loading. Okay, there we go. All right. So let's go through it here. Actually, let me clear off some of our add-on indicators to begin with. Okay, I don't want to show those at the moment. All right, and let's clear our drawings. Okay, and then let's, oops. Okay, we have a VWAP, historical VWAP here. Our iceberg detector, we'll take that off. Okay, we have a cumulative volume delta subchart here. I'm going to close that. And then our point of control indicator as well. All right, and just simplify this chart, and we're going to look at 3 basic elements that are on this chart. Okay, and that's it. It's very straightforward data here. Okay, it may look complex here, but we'll simplify it in just a minute. Okay, these 3 elements. Okay, well, let's compare it to a candlestick chart. Okay, I'm going to put a candlestick chart on here. I'm actually going to take off these 3 elements, and we're going to add them on one at a time. Okay, because this is the view we're usually accustomed to. Okay, this is a 5-minute candlestick chart, you know, it's open, high, low, and close of a period. It's aggregated data because it's in a period. Okay, doesn't matter if you're looking at a volume chart, tick chart, point and figure, or reversal type of chart, or bar chart. It's all aggregated data. Okay, and that's its strength, but it's also its weakness. The weakness is you just can't see what's going on inside of that period. It's completely closed off to you. We want to know what's going on within that period. Okay, so for example, look at this candle here, this big down candle. Well, what happened here? Okay, we know that price went down, but we only have 4 data points for 5 minutes worth of data here. Okay, that's very opaque. Okay, we want to know a lot more about what's going on here. We want to know about microstructural areas, how volume traded there, how much volume, where did it trade, what type of volume it is. All of these are not answered here by looking at this chart. Okay, we do have a volume subchart, and all we know is that volume picked up and price went down. Okay, so just to show microstructure, we can simply break up that candle here by just showing historical best bid and offer. Okay, so now, and let me define what microstructure is. Okay, if we zoom in here. Okay, well, microstructure is just the same type of things that we see in candlesticks or other structures, but we're looking at it on much lower time frames. So for example, look at these areas of consolidation, like this little one right here. Actually, there's a bigger consolidation area here that we can mark up. Okay, it broke down and made a little microstructural area here, and then that broke down. Okay, and we started trending here. These little structural areas turned into a bigger trend to the downside. Okay, that's what I mean by microstructure, and you just can't see it here by looking at the candlestick chart. You don't have any reference to that at all. You just have these 3 down candles. Okay, so it's important to understand microstructure. Bigger moves usually take place based on the microstructure, so we want insight to that. Okay, so that's just the structures. Okay, we're already breaking down the candlestick and making it a lot more transparent. Okay, now let's add the next element of the Bookmap chart onto the chart here. The next element is the volume. okay? And we're displaying it with these volume dots, okay? So you can see exactly what traded here, okay? It's very much like a footprint chart, even better in the sense because the footprint chart is gonna aggregate the data within a periodicity. All right, now we're showing it exactly how it unfolded, this is very typical. For example, look at more volume trading at lower lows, okay? That's how the market works, right? You're not really gonna be able to see that within your footprint chart, okay? And you can kind of see, look how much volume is trading on these lower highs here, okay? A little bit, but not much, right? Usually it kind of exhausts out and rotates lower and you get price discovery to the downside. This is really understanding what's going on in the basic market mechanics, how price works, and we're showing all of the details here. Okay, now if let's just zoom in here and I'll show you how simple this data is, okay? All right. It's just historical best offer is the red line, best bid is the green line. Okay, and then you can see the volume dots, okay? So a green dot is a market buy. Okay? If you want the specific information about each transaction, you can zoom in and we can hover over these dots. Okay, this is for a volume of 2, this is for a volume of 2, and this is for a volume of 1. Okay? This is a sell, market sell here for a volume of 4. So you can see the color and the size starts to dictate exactly what traded and precisely when. If you look here on the rollover tool, we have the date, a very specific time, what was on the ask, and then the volume that traded on the ask. Okay, so that's how we're displaying these two elements. And just to give a little more insight, we are not aggregating any data whatsoever. We're plotting every single market event. Okay, so let's zoom in here and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so that little cluster of, or that trade for a volume of 4 was actually 3 different transactions. Okay, we're down at microsecond level and we're showing every single detail here. Okay, so it's very straightforward that this is exactly what happened. Okay, we had a sell for 1, another one for 1, and then 2. Okay, altogether for a volume of 4 with 3 different transactions. Okay, but when we zoom back out, note what we do. Okay, we visually aggregate this into a bigger dot and then give you the overall volume. Okay, so let's do that on a higher time frame. Okay, and we'll zoom out and you'll start to note really big dots. Like this one was for volume of 298. Okay, now there are many transactions within here though. It's not just one transaction. Okay? And in some cases, you'll see a pie display of both buy and sell volume, like this one right here. Okay, just means that in the aggregate view, there's buying and selling in here. But when we zoom in, we'll split it all apart and break it all down, and you'll see all the different details that really occurred here. Okay, so those are 2 elements on the chart. Okay, let's add the third element, and to do that, we need to go back to the current market, and let's get rid of our candlestick chart. Okay, and define this vertical white line here. This white line separates the current market to the right and historical market to the left. Okay, so this is your current best bid and offer right here. Okay, here's your price ladder, and let's zoom in a little bit more. And here's your depth of market. Okay, your DOM right here. The COB column stands for current order book. Okay, and we can see these are contracts here. Sellers want to sell 74 contracts up here, now 64, and etc. They want to sell at with their limit orders at those specific levels. Now down below current price, they're on the bid. They want to be buyers. Okay, that's rather straightforward. But what we do is we take this data here and we paint it in a heat map. Okay, so let's turn on the heat map, and this is the third element on the Bookmap chart. So high liquidity here is painted in the heat map within this window. You'll see see how the heat map changes, and when the liquidity changes. Okay, so the number of contracts changes, the heat map changes to reflect that that difference. Okay, so that's what the heat map is. The scale of the heat map is up here. Very high liquidity is on the right-hand side. It's red and orange. Then yellow is less liquidity, then white, blue to black, all right, is the lowest. And that's the heat map. Now, where this really gets exciting and interesting is we take the data and plot it on the chart historically. So now we have a reference to how players are starting to behave with their liquidity. Okay, so when you see these striations in price, like in here, that's the adding and pulling of liquidity. Okay, that's what's going on. Okay, like this guy just pulled. He had 130 something contracts here, and then pulled. Okay, so he doesn't want to sell. Okay, so we can also start to gain insight by their behavior in the book, in the auction. Okay, historically and current. Well, he didn't want to sell. Okay, this is clearly like someone who did not want to sell, because if they wanted to sell, they'd stay at this price level. Okay, so maybe they're doing something else. Maybe it's kind of a skew in the auction to try to get it down into this 73.30 area here. Okay, and we just saw something interesting happen right here. The buyers took on that guy or this player here who was getting very aggressive with his sell limit orders. Okay, and this guy is short, and now he's starting to feel the squeeze. Okay, anyway, the starting to understand and comprehend the not just the current market using your depth of market information here, but we can zoom out. And this is where Bookmap can really be helpful. We can start to zoom out and start to understand behavior in the book over a much longer time frame. And now you can start to use that within your trading. Okay, we can start to see these areas down here. Look at how they're bidding down here. Okay, price moves away pretty dramatically. In fact, it comes back up to where? 73.50, the figure here. Okay, and they didn't even take them on. There's 102 contracts up there, or maybe more when it was back here. And then, and what happened? Well, the buyers didn't take them on. They stopped buying, okay, and prices dropped. Now they're bidding up though down here. Okay? At the moment, this is bullish, okay, because they're bidding at a higher area. Okay, they're not bidding down at the low. They're getting in front of that area and they're bidding. Okay, now look at the behavior that we're also seeing here on the ask. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, so was this real liquidity? Did it stay in the book and did it transact? Okay, these contracts here at this 73.30 area. Okay, we had 62 contracts here and 68 of them traded. Right, so we can see here, I mean, as this transaction took place here, okay, there's less liquidity, okay, and it looks like that liquidity also traded. Okay, I have the setting pretty high here, but did this area trade? And the answer is yes. So this was real liquidity. They wanted to be short here at 73.30 and they got filled. All right, looks like the same guy, it looks like it, came in again with more liquidity at that price level, and he was also filled. Okay, so he's short. Okay, so was this real liquidity, and did it have an effect on price? Well, it was definitely real, but what we're seeing here is a lot of buying pressure continues on through that area. Okay, now we're starting to find some sellers here, and then look up here. Okay, look at the volume that traded up here. Okay, there's 4 contracts that traded up here. That's it. Okay, and nothing traded on this one here. Okay, where's the buying pressure now? Well, you know, they're starting to, they got, some of it was alleviated here, okay, by these limit orders. But there was more buyers who continued on through. Now we're starting to find some sellers, and we're exhausting out of the buying pressure. Okay, so we're putting the pieces of the order flow all together here. Okay, understanding the context of the auction and the liquidity and the aggressor, the volume. Okay, and this is going to give you a complete picture of the order flow, not just volume, not just the order book, but the combination and the context. And it's not just for the current and recent historical market, but you can zoom out and start to put this together on much bigger pictures. Okay, and this is the process we go through in the advanced order flow webinars. All right, so anyway, we've got to wrap it up. Let's call it a day. If you're registered for the advanced webinar, then we'll see you over there in just a minute. All right, thanks for coming. Bye-bye.